Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Puck on the Parkway. It is a big week in the NHL. We've got loads of news around the league. The Devils with an interesting week, to say the least. Some goaltending performances that we've got to get into, some very promising ones from not just
Yeah.
Jake Allen. Jacob Markstrom pitched in as well. Daniel Rebane with James Burley. Happy to have you with us once again. Dan, I know you've worn this shirt on the show before, but you got to show it off because I just realized how, that's a crazy shirt. I can't believe it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. New York Devil fan. Come on, man. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of us out there, but I gotta represent. Shout out to my mom that found this shirt one year, and I wear it all the time. So
That's true. I never think about it because you wear it all the time. Today I thought about it. Thought you had to mention it for folks listening on Amazon or Spotify. It's a red shirt with the New York State outline and the Devils logo inside of it. Yeah,
yeah.
pretty cool. You don't see that one often. Well, we got to get right into it. The big news, not burying the lead here. Quinn Hughes, he's not coming to New Jersey, at least not yet. Traded to the Minnesota Wild in what ended up being just a blockbuster move,
Hmm.
landmark day in the NHL. Zeev Byam, Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, and a 2026 first round pick goes to Minnesota. Or sorry, goes to Vancouver from Minnesota. Minnesota, of course, gets Quinn Hughes. The Devils, Dan, they were involved in these talks for sure. Tom Fitzgerald just couldn't get it done. Um, what do you have to make of that?
I will say I give Fitzy a lot of credit for basically getting to a point where Vancouver was willing to accept like an offer. That's what they're making it sound like. Like they had an offer out there of potentially Nemec, Mercer, Salive, and a first, right? To Vancouver to get Quinn Hughes. And for the most part, that sounded like that was gonna get accepted. The only part is New Jersey had to clear cap space. And for whatever reason, it's just been the biggest, you know, thorn in Fitzy's side where he can't clear that space for whatever reason. It's been reported that a couple of trades have been vetoed already from players with no trade clauses or whatever they have in their contracts that they've vetoed to be traded away to clear the space. And ultimately you got to tip your cap to Bill Guerin for stepping up and pulling this trade off, because not once was Minnesota mentioned. They came in the
We didn't
week.
talk about Minnesota.
I mean, nobody mentioned Minnesota, and they came in the week of the trade. I think it was basically, it took them a week to get it done. And even with the Devils offer, like you can't be mad at Vancouver for accepting that. So I feel like if Fitzy was able to trade like a Dougie Hamilton away, clear that space, Quinn Hughes would be a Devil. So I think that hurts to hear for Devils fans. But at the end of the day, it's what he gave out. He gave out these no trade clauses, and when you look at it for Dougie's sake, I mean, he deserved it when he first got it. So you can't fault him for vetoing a trade if it was him. The big one is DeAndre Palat one, where he gets a full no trade up until this season, where it turned into a 10-team trade. Only 10 teams can acquire him. Um, and that's probably the biggest one that hurts, because you get off that 6 million for a guy that can barely play in the bottom six right now. Um, that trade probably is done, and we're having a different podcast at this point. So disappointing. I will say it is disappointing. Maybe it is a blessing in disguise once we get around to 2027, when he potentially could come a free agent. But now you just give Minnesota, Bill Guerin, the opportunity to get in Quinn's ear. And if they have a successful time in Minnesota, which it is going to be hard for them, they are playing in the Central Division. Maybe Quinn looks at it close enough to Michigan where he's like, yeah, I could settle down here. So disappointing. You have to give Fitzy credit. He really went all out. I feel like he went all out. He did as much as he could to try to pull this trade off at this moment in time. It just didn't come together.
The criticism that comes with that, though, is did he put the team in a position where they couldn't make an acquisition like this because,
Yeah.
the writing had been on the wall. They're going to go for Quinn Hughes. This
Hmm.
was the moment to do it. Did he put the team in a position where they couldn't do that with all the players who have no movement, no trade clauses? I don't have the figure in front of me. I was
It's
trying to
a
find
lot.
it.
It's a
It's
lot.
a lot of players. And look, this is the part of sports analysis that I really am not an expert in. Like, I played hockey growing up. I know a little bit about hockey, certainly not as much as a professional, but
Mhm.
I definitely know nothing about how to manage signing players,
Mhm.
doing contracts, the business side of it. There's been tons of criticism levied toward Tom Fitzgerald for how this is shaking out, people calling for his head. And I got to say, it does seem like it was a bit of a mistake in hindsight that the Andre Palat contract just looks so devastating.
Mhm.
But I mean, we've seen it now. Is this Devils team able to stay afloat without a Quinn Hughes? Absolutely. But this was something that they really were banking on, it seemed, and just couldn't get it done. It seems like they had the formula to do it.
Mhm.
The assets were there. They could have gotten it done if not for the fact that they couldn't clear the cap. And I think that's one thing that if Devils want to hold on to hope that they'll get Quinn Hughes one day, um, Minnesota's already got a real expensive player in Kaprizov.
Yep.
It's probably going to be a challenge to re-sign Quinn Hughes when his contract is up for big money when they've already got that contract on the books. I think they're going to do everything to make it happen, though.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have given Vancouver the haul that they did. And credit to Bill Guerin, his relationship with the Hughes family and Quinn Hughes for getting that done. It's a massive deal, a landmark trade in NHL history. And it's just a shame that the Devils couldn't have done a little bit better, Dan.
Yeah, and everybody points to the Quinn Hughes interview after his first game about talking about Bill Guerin sacking up and putting the assets out there, and they always point to hey, is that a shot at Fitzy? And personally, I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
I think it's towards the teams that actually didn't put an offer, like a big offer out there, like a Detroit. Like Detroit could have been easily Detroit could have been in the conversation to get him over Minnesota. Like if they put out a Simon Edvinson, a Danielson, a couple another prospect and a first round pick, I think, you look at that Edvinson is probably on the same par as Steve Bulliam. And then it's about getting that center prospect, which they have a couple. They have Marco Casper as well. They could have given two center prospects if they wanted to. So I think that was a shot at Detroit mainly just because, you know, he goes home to Michigan. You know, Detroit's on the rise. They're one of the best teams in the Atlantic this season. I believe they're in first place right now. So, if Detroit went all in, I think easily Detroit probably could have won this trading war because I feel like when we're looking back on it, I think Quinn had a lot to say about where he would have went. Because if he didn't want to go to Minnesota, they wouldn't have accepted that trade, even though how good it was. I feel like they were giving him that much respect in the trade talks, which is, for a captain and a player of his quality, that's the thing you kind of want to do. Just, especially going out the door, you don't want to just say, no, screw this guy. We're gonna do whatever he wants. He doesn't have any choice. He doesn't have a say. So to give him that respect is a good thing for Vancouver. And again, you just got to tip your cap to Minnesota and Bill Guerin because woof, that was a big package, and shout out to them. They're going for it. Again, they're in the Central Division. It's gonna be tough to beat Dallas and Colorado. Like even with that Quinn Hughes trade, they're like the number three team. Even though they have a good goalie tandem, they got Kaprizov. They have other like pieces like a Matthew Boldy. But I mean, if you look at Colorado, they're Colorado, and then you look at Dallas. Dallas is one of the best teams in the league. So it's going to be interesting if let's just say if Quinn Hughes they play Colorado this year, they get eliminated in the first round, right? Next year they're looking, they're loading up for one last time. They get Dallas in the first round. They lose to Dallas in the first round. That could set up well for the Devils looking into free agency, like knowing that, Minnesota can't get by these two teams that are just juggernauts in the league right now. So all eyes for the Devils fans are on 2027, but for now, we got to look for the rest of the season. And good thing for us, at least, we have certain bodies coming back, and teams played well or they've gotten wins the past couple of games. So I feel like it's time to turn the page on Quinn Hughes for now, and we'll revisit it in 18 months' time.
There been a Quinn Hughes versus Cale Makar series in the playoffs? I don't believe
Has
so.
I don't think so. No.
Could very well get the first this year if that's true. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Vancouver's ever played Colorado in the playoffs, at least not recently. And that would be a spectacle. That would
Yeah.
be awesome. Um, and in 18 months' time, let's say Quinn Hughes does re-sign long term with Minnesota. Um, I saw Spit and Chicklets talk about this. They mentioned that yes, it seemed very likely that the Devils would get all three of them. They've always talked about all three of them playing together. It's lucky that they had two of them in New Jersey, but if, God forbid, for Devils fans, the situation doesn't get better in a few years for the Devils, and Jack Hughes' contract runs out, and there's an offer on the table from Minnesota. Is he going to take it? Are the Minnesota Wild going to steal the next prodigal son of the New Jersey Devils once again? Because I'll tell you what, that would make for some crazy little symmetry. Again, speaking in hypotheticals here, just wanted to float that out. Saw that mentioned by, I think it was Biz was actually the one who said it.
Of course it
But
was.
like you mentioned, Dan, let's move on from the Quinn Hughes stuff. It's in the past for now. Let's talk about how the Devils have played over the last few games since we last spoke.
Mhm.
It's been a decent run in some respects, and in other respects, more of the same. We last spoke before they played the Senators, a win that they clawed out, and then played Tampa Bay. That was real ugly. They bounced back from it though with a win against the Ducks, and then on the following day, the back-to-back afternoon games lost narrowly to Vancouver right after they got rid of Quinn Hughes. A game that they were in and probably could have done a bit
Should
better
have
in.
won.
Yeah, and then back-to-back narrow 2-1 wins, low scoring affairs. I mean, if that says anything to me from looking at the way they've been playing these games, I think it's just been they're contesting every inch just a little bit more tightly. I feel like in the last few games, and they're getting goalied, but the goalies have also stood up.
Mhm.
Like I think there's been a few difference makers in terms of skaters, but you can count on the goalies in the last two games. Markstrom was absolutely fantastic against the Mammoth, and Allen was even better against Vegas.
Mhm.
Unlucky not to get a shutout for Jake Allen, who stood strong for I think 56 minutes there without conceding. So uh, the Devils able to sneak by Vegas and Utah in the most recent ones. Though they look more promising even than I would say the scores have suggested. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, we have to mention the biggest piece to come back to this team, and that is Brett Pesce. I mean,
Yes.
him coming back to this team just makes the decor just 10 times better. Like
The special
it's
teams.
simple. It's simple as that. I mean, the penalty kill against Vegas was,
Yeah.
outstanding until, a puck squeezed out from the boards and was able just to get across the ice to what's the name? The
Dorofeyev,
Russian. Yeah, just wide open.
who
And
had a great game, by the way.
and
I thought he was the best player on the ice for Vegas.
And credit to them, they got that goal, but that was a bit lucky. And I feel like just Brett Pesce being back in this lineup gives the defensive core just more structure to play with. Luke Hughes is just a much better player with Brett Pesce, and you know
So much better.
some people might knock that on him, but he still is just a young kid, trying to make his own in this league and be a more consistent player. So playing next to a guy like a Brett Pesce, one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, is only going to help him, especially when he's not asked to do all the heavy lifting on his unit. So it was great to see him back. I mean, I think Keefe was talking about, yeah, we can't put too much plate on we can't put too much on his plate these first couple of games. What does he do?
Send the team on his back.
He's got 25 minutes a night, both games
Yeah,
basically.
awesome.
So that was a big help. And Jake Allen started the 2 game road trip, the quick one off really strong. I mean, that was one of his best games of the year. Like he was just making save after save. And you get the overtime save, then in the shootout, just class. I mean, poking the puck off of Marner's stick like down the third when you needed to win the game. I mean, it was magnificent. What a performance from
Why
him.
are people saying that that should have been a goal?
Oh, well,
Do they like I is it like they understand it's the rule but they disagree with the rule?
they're
It
saying,
was
oh,
poke checked. It
no,
was
no,
knocked off his stick.
they're saying, oh, he didn't shoot it, so technically it's not a rebound. And it's like, no, that's not the
But
rule.
it was poke checked. The goalie touched it.
It's once you lose possession, you can't possess it again, even if because once it goes off of your foot, that's possession again. So once
I
you
I I thought
two
it was
possessions, you can't have that in a shootout.
I thought it was very clearly no goal, and I was not surprised when the referee clocked it immediately. That's what I thought would happen.
Well, if you played NHL, 14 once in a while, you would know that is clearly not a goal, especially when you're poke checking a lot with Martin Brodeur and user
Another
shootouts
athlete.
with your friends. So, yeah, that was a bit. It's a bit idiotic to say that should be a goal. No offense to people that have said that on some higher media channels. Disagree with you. The rule is the rule. So you might want to disagree with the
Uh,
rule, but hey man, rules are rules.
the little thing. I just didn't think it made sense for people to
It
be
didn't.
be saying that. I don't know. Yeah, I thought they played so well against Vegas. There were stretches of that game where they were being outplayed, but they covered the middle of the ice in a way that I don't think like Jake Allen was fantastic. He was the best Devil on the night.
Oh,
No denying that.
yeah.
But the team rallied together for that performance. You
Hmm.
mentioned Brett Pesce. I mean, without him in the lineup, they had a 66.7% penalty kill. With him in the lineup before Wednesday night, it
Yeah.
was at 93%. It's probably hovered around there since they only gave up the one goal. Um, but yeah, he was phenomenal. Logged 24 minutes night one back from injury. The Devils are 10-1 with him in the lineup. Similarly, they're 11-0 when Connor Brown records a point. Is that right?
No, I thought it
Is it
was when he
12?
scores,
Or is it or when he scores a goal? That makes more. Yes, it's a good when he scores a goal.
which
11 to
I
0.
mean, I feel
Dude,
like
he
we
has
knew
been fantastic.
I feel like we knew how good like Connor Brown could be, but seeing him in the role he is right now, which is going to be eventually the third line playing with, Cody Glass and Arseny Griciuk when he comes back. I mean, that's the type of line that wins you playoff games. Like when they were clicking before Grits went down before last weekend. I mean, that was they I think that was the game against Anaheim, right? They won them that game. That
Yeah,
that one line
that line was
won
incredible.
won the Devils that game. I mean, Connor Brown with his forechecking ability is crazy. Like he'll he'll make you think he's going one way, and then he'll sneak behind you, intercept the puck, free it up to Grits, who passes it to Cody Glass for the game winner, I think, or it was the third goal. But I mean, that line just has chemistry at the moment. So once Grits comes back, I think that could be a line that catapults the Devils into more success going forward.
And that's exactly how he scored goals in each of the last two games,
Hmm.
right? On the forecheck, creating space himself, and just having the finishing touch. He had it early on in the season, that lovely breakaway where he faked backhand, scored forehand.
Yep.
Like this is a guy who can score in a multitude of ways, will be absolutely tremendous on a third line. Are you kidding me? Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of criticism has been going Tom Fitzgerald's way. That was a really good move that he made for Connor Brown. Connor Brown's making half the money that Andre Palat's making. Like that, this is a good this is a good deal. I think it might say more about the Palat contract than it does about Brown's, but
Yeah.
there's no point in comparing players. I don't know why I did that. Regardless, um, you mentioned the line of Glass, Brown, and Griciuk. Even with Griciuk out of the lineup, and it's been Andre Palat, that line's still clicking, still looking
Hmm.
very, very good. You have to give credit where it's due. I think that's a line that, come the playoffs, you're absolutely right, can
Yeah.
can win you games like it did against Anaheim. I think that's a line that fans could fall in love with, right? Like several years down the line, like people still mention I mean, maybe they don't because of how Game 6 went in the 2012 Cup Final, but the CBGB line with Carter, Bernier, Giunta, I think that's a fourth line that,
Still not a 5 minute major, but whatever.
yeah, I know. We've talked about this before on this show. Um, I mean, that's still a line that
Yeah.
gets the love it deserves because they were punched well above their weight in that playoffs in that run. And I think this is a line that absolutely has that potential. We'll see if it gets broken up or not because it's not a guarantee that those three stay together.
Hmm.
Um, it never is, but they have been formidable of late, to say the least. I thought they were the best line again against Vegas, even without Gritsuk.
I will say, I think Cody Glass is showing me that he could potentially be that third line guy for a Stanley Cup team. Now I have to see more of him do it, but like when you've seen him healthy this year, I mean he's playing really good. Like he's playing better than I expected. Like I thought of him as a guy that you bring in a guy like Ryan O'Reilly or someone else and you slot him down the lineup, right? But maybe he's playing himself into a role where he locks himself into that third line center role, and that allows Tom Fitzgerald to, go all in on a top six winger that we're not hearing of. I wouldn't say Steven Stamkos, but maybe there's a guy out there like a Jordan Kyrou or maybe someone up in Buffalo because they fired their GM that becomes available as a winger that you go all in for now that you have all those pieces for Quinn Hughes. So it's going to be interesting to see how he continues this season. But I've loved what I've seen from Cody Glass this year, especially in his own zone. But playing with a guy like Connor Brown, I feel like those two guys mesh really good together so far.
Absolutely. The last few games have proven that for sure. It's not the only thing that trended right in the last two games for New Jersey. The goaltending was fantastic. Jacob Markstrom, we got to start with him, was a bit of a disaster in that game against Tampa. Got pulled on, was it five shots, three goals on five shots
Yeah,
within
it wasn't the
seven or
best.
so minutes. And Jake Allen in that game, to be fair, did do much better.
Yeah.
But that was a team loss if there ever was one. He was unbelievable last night. Three or Friday night for when you're watching this, 3.554 expected goals against, 2.55 goals saved above expected. That is elite numbers from Markstrom. I mean, having him bounce back, we've already talked about how good Allen looked against Vegas. For him to bounce back that way against the Mammoth, and this is now two good games from him in a row. I mean, this is starting to look promising again for the Devils number one, Dan.
Yeah, and I think, Brett Pesci coming back is another just huge
It sure
addition to
is.
this team for a guy like Jacob Markstrom. And I know that, they love to give up those early penalties in games, and that's kind of hurt Jacob Markstrom in a couple of starts this year because, the penalty kill without Brett Pesci has been awful. But getting a guy like that back in front of him, I feel like that gives him a lot more confidence to be the goaltender he is. So seeing him against Utah, a good Utah team that the night before beat Detroit in Detroit, um, it showed that the ability is still there to be an elite goalie in this league, to be a number one. It's just about finding his game, finding his rhythm again. So I'm glad to see what he did on Friday night. It's just about coming back strong, whether that is Sunday against Buffalo or whenever his next start is. Just build on this start and just keep it going.
Let's look forward to the next few games. On Sunday, they host the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.
You got to imagine that's 2 points. There has to be 2 points when you play Buffalo at home. Then they go to Long Island on Tuesday night before coming back home after the holiday break. They host the Capitals. Big news. Some players coming back. The words are in. I think that's what we're going to name the episode. Me and Dan have been having trouble naming this one. Bodies coming back, or kind of we got to find the real quote on that. But Timo Meier, after leaving the team for an extended period for personal reasons, he is back with the team. And going down was Sorry,
Xavier
who was sent
Perrant
down? It was
and
Perrant and Addison.
Jalen Addison.
I thought Perrant looked decent with his time on the fourth line.
Yep.
Always been a big fan of his with Utica and Addison going down as well, which means that there is space for another player as well to return. The Devils' Twitter account teased it with a ticket emoji, that quote from Keefe. I mean,
Yeah, they put
people,
eyeballs out with the link to go buy tickets. I mean,
Timo
no
Myers,
no
he's
offense
something of a
no
draw,
no offense
but
to Timo Meier, but
yes,
that's not the person you
people
do that
pay
for.
to watch another guy play. You know what I'm
So
talking about?
it I've been telling some people, right, when it might have been before Luke's comments, but definitely after he made those comments about, yeah, Jack's right around the corner. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you jumped on that.
I was like, hold on now. That's something. And I was and I don't know if I told you, but I told a couple other people Sunday's game. I mean, that'd be interesting if he comes back that early. And I think he had a doctor appointment. When was his doctor appointment? I think Emily Kaplan tweeted that out that he had a doctor appointment. Either it was today, yesterday, maybe even tomorrow. Not definitely not Sunday, but he had one last doctor appointment to go to, and that's probably, what the Devils are talking about, that he probably got cleared and he's ready to go. So we'll see. You probably know, but right after this podcast comes out. So if he's not back, well, we tried. But if he is back, I mean that's huge news for the Devils. I think Arseny Gritsyuk is close, around the corner as well, per his telegram. He also had a doctor's appointment, and it looked like good news to him, according to him. So I mean, if they're able to get Timo Meier back, Arseny Gritsyuk, and Jack Hughes back in the same game, I mean that's three players, that's a whole line. So it should be fun. Right before the Christmas break. The roster freeze is in effect, so technically they still can send down one player that they called up after a certain date, before Christmas. So technically they can still open two roster spots. So we shall see. But yeah, Sunday with Timo Meier back, that's a huge addition, especially next to Nico Hischier, who played one of his best games against Vegas. I feel like
It
we
was
should bring that up
incredible.
as well.
Yeah.
He didn't get a goal. Probably should have had at least one. Just snake bitten, just couldn't get it through. But I mean, that was one of his best games, especially since the start of the season. Um, and you get Timo Meyer back next to him, I think, the scoring is not far behind for this team to kind of open the floodgates.
The thing is, we're assuming that this might mean that Jack Hughes is coming back earlier than expected because of the way that it's being, you know, presented to
Marketed.
Devils fans.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it could be a number of different players coming back. He's one of six guys on the injured list at the moment for the Devils. So
Hey man, all I'm saying is
don't speculate too much.
if you're doing eyeballs for anybody on the team that's not
For
Jack
McEwen,
Hughes, I mean, yeah, there you go. That's, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna go get my Zach McEwen jersey from my closet and head to the
look,
game.
we've loved the two games he's played in this year.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a third at some point. But
I really hope so. I feel terrible for the guy.
if we're getting eyeballs for, like, I feel like there's three guys you give eyeballs to, and really one. It should really only be one, but I can see them doing it for like a Nico or a Jesper Brad if they're coming back. Like Timo's really good. We got, like, he's one of the core players on this team, but eyeballs, that's a Jack thing. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
No, you're right.
You're putting the ticket link in there. That Cause that's been a meme, you pay to watch Jack Hughes. So
You're right. You're right. When you're right,
we
you're right.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
I that would be a huge momentum boost for the whole locker room, just to see Jack back, especially after, the injury that he suffered, not on the ice, you know, in Chicago, random. Like, I think like him coming back would be such a boost before Christmas break. So
For him to come back with the Devils playing as good as they have the last few games, as opposed to they were 6 games ago or so,
Yeah.
I think that's even bigger
Yeah.
because, they're going to come into a team that's already playing with a little bit more confidence than they had, a week, 2 weeks ago. You get a player like that, bring it in. I mean, it's a whole dynamic shift, right?
Hmm.
So that's something that they can hopefully, ride the wave of into to tomorrow night against Buffalo, or if you're watching this, I guess tonight against Buffalo, and then into the game against the Islanders, and then into the Christmas break. Boy, there's
Yep.
more in front of them than the break. But for Dan Rebane, I've been James Burley. That is just about all the time we have on the Parkway this week. Tune in next time, folks, where we're going to be cutting it up, all things New Jersey Devils. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for watching.